on Rocket Thursday Thunder, our very first legend for the program. Brad Doty, g'day to you, my friend.
Legend in my own mind, is that what you're saying?
You're a legend in everyone's mind. G'day, Brad. It's Trevor Green here.
How you guys doing?
Well, we're always good when we're talking to you, mate. We just played an interview with you from 1987 with the late Steve Evans at Knoxville. You were lining up alongside Steve Kinser. You had the world at your feet. It was just a year later, mate, that you would be injured and your life would change forever. That 1987 year, how was that for you?
87 was probably my best year ever. I finished second in the World of Outlaws points to Steve Kinser, and it seemed like I finished second to him a lot in the races. Had the best year I ever had, and then, like you said, unfortunately, July of 1988, I had my accident at Eldora, and things changed. But I was lucky to get involved with the TV and stay involved in the sport, and actually got to come down under a few times. So things have been good.
Mate, we've got on screen that you obviously can't see right now, but we're going to show you a montage of some of the cars that you had. The Bowers Coal car out of Pennsylvania was really one of the cars that started it all for you, wasn't it?
Yeah, it really was. I mean, you know, like a lot of young guys, you start out locally and racing around home, and I had a really good team that we ran here in Ohio and ventured into western Pennsylvania and started winning some races with an old worn-out race car that Kenny Jacobs used to drive and a lot of people drove, and got some attention of some people, and mainly Sam Bowers, who was a coal company over in western Pennsylvania, and we got hooked up together, and he got me out on the road with the World of Outlaws, and as they say, the rest was history. It was a dream come true for sure.
Seems like they do a lot less racing these days, Brad. The Outlaw schedule's not nearly as extensive. Used to be upwards of 100 races, didn't it?
Yeah, it's, the economy is partly to blame. Some would, arguably, it takes a lot of money to put a World of Outlaws race on, and a lot of the smaller venues and smaller tracks just can't seat enough people, and it's a big risk, as you guys well know. And the weather. I co-promote one race a year, and everybody says don't worry about what you can't control, and I'm the opposite. I don't worry about what we can control because I feel like we have that under control, but that darn weather when you're fighting that, and a lot of promoters just won't take the risk. And yeah, the World of Outlaws schedule is definitely as light as it's been in many, many years.
But that's also not such a bad thing either. It keeps everyone with their good equipment under them. Like, I used to always think that was just ridiculous, the 120 nights or whatever they were doing there at some stages. And who knows, knocking it back at 40 races, back to an 80, a more viable schedule. There's more cars out on the road now than there's ever been. And the older guys just keep getting better, Brad, don't they?
Yes, they do. And for us old guys, I like to see it too.
What about that race at Knoxville, Brad? Is that as good as you've seen for a long time?
That was tremendous, I tell you. And Swindell's luck or bad luck continued, unfortunately for him. But he definitely was the car to beat, and he proved it. And a lot of people, said that it thought he ran the car too hard and he ran the tires off of it. And I think that's baloney myself. I think the car was working well, and he didn't burn the tires off. He may have blistered it, and that may be why it went flat. But if you remember, Brian Brown also had a flat. They were both down in turn 3. Yep. And maybe there was something in the racetrack that was cutting tires. Who knows? But Sammy was driving the sprint car like it was supposed to be driven.
Absolutely.
Brad, one of your good friends, Danny Smith, recently had a horrific crash which involved a very serious back injury. Jack Hewitt, as you know, another one of the greats, a debilitating crash several years ago that ended his career prematurely. Are people thinking more and more about the afterlife of racing now? I mean, it seemed like Danny and Jack and people like that just raced for the day. Are people making contingency plans in case that happens now?
Well, unfortunately, a lot of us racers don't. But the older we get, obviously, the more you start thinking about that kind of stuff. And but Trevor, he knows. I mean, as a race car driver, you got to have the mentality it's going to last forever, and the big one's not going to happen to me, or you really couldn't get out there and do it night in and night out. So, but yeah, there are some guys that really are pretty smart on that end, that looking out for their future, and maybe if there's been any good come out of accidents like mine or Hewitt's, or people that have been taken out of the sport, or even worse, maybe killed, it does open a lot of eyes. And if that's the good that comes out of it, well, then that's a good thing, I guess.
The great thing with the racing community as well, Wade, is I know the injuries happen and everything sort of happens, but everyone sort of sets up funds with people that get hurt to help them out a little bit. And the way the fans and the other teams and the other drivers and your opposition on the track, but everyone does really care about everyone else's welfare, and people do rally around, as they have for Travis and as they have for Danny. So that's one aspect of the sport, I think, which is just so unique.
It really is. I know there were a lot of fundraisers when I got hurt, and I feel to this day, obviously, it took that worry away from me. We had a lot of things going on in our lives, and it was a big adjustment, and not have to worry about paying the bills was a huge benefit. And but you're right, Trevor. Everybody, the racing community, even drivers, may be fierce enemies out on the racetrack. When everybody needs each other, everybody pulls together usually, and it's a great thing.
Yeah.
Brad, on the screen right now, we're seeing some of the race that you promote. You've got your name behind and all that good stuff. The Brad Doty Classic, which is becoming bigger and better and badder every year, isn't it?
It is, and I have to admit it's a little uncomfortable. Talk about shameless or shameful self-promotion. The race started as a benefit. We were just talking about the benefits. The very first one was at Attica, and it was a benefit race for my family and myself after I got hurt. And then they basically asked me if they could just call it the Brad Doty Classic and continue, the spirit of the race and so forth. And I never had really a financial interest or worry in the thing until about 5 years ago, when I got in as a co-promoter and brought the World of Outlaws in to sanction it and that kind of thing. And boy, that was opening my eyes to become a promoter. But yeah, to have my name involved and to kind of promoting it, I get a little uneasy with that at times. But I am so proud of the race and the way it's turned out, and the guys that have won it. It's been phenomenal.
I was just looking there. Was that Danny Smith on screen and Matthew Reid? I just saw racing.
That was. Fortunately, I just come out with Danny got injured. Unfortunately, Danny got injured. Then I got the call up to go drive his car. Just rolled out of winter. I think I had one race in 7 months since we broke my back, and roll into your race, Brad, and drew the 75 pill at Lima Land. I should have slipped your 50 to got another redraw.
Yeah.
But everyone's got such great respect for that race, and everyone says we've got to go to the Doty. You want to win the Doty, and Danny was hell bent on having a car at your race, so that just shows a testimony of what everyone thinks about that race.
Yeah, it does.
Well, I sure appreciate it.
Brad, you and I know each other pretty well. We spend a lot of time just driving around the car talking rubbish for a lot of the time. You're a classic worrier. You're always concerned about what might happen. How do you go being a promoter and being a worrier? Because it must do your head in.
It does. It really does. It's a lot of fun. It's a lot of work, but it's a lot of fun leading up to it. Boy, those last couple of days. Now, this year, we had a great weather forecast, 2 or 3 days out, and that was a huge relief. The last couple of years, we've had a threat of weather, and I'm waking up in the middle of the night, flipping channels and TV, watching the weather, and you know me, like you said, Wade, I do worry. But boy, this year we were blessed with great weather. It was hot, but we didn't have to worry about rain, and boy, that makes a huge difference when you don't have to worry about the rain.
Hot beats the hell out of rain any day when you're a promoter or a racer. Brad, quickly, mate, what are you doing these days? Your TV schedule has been cut down a little bit. That's out of your hands. But are you still welding iron covers and things for Amish people in your community?
Yep.
How do you occupy your time?
Yep, I still, but that is slow. The economy has really slowed that down. It's even affected the Amish sales of these irons that I weld. It's aluminum tank that I TIG weld, and not as busy with that as I used to be. And even the TV, like you and I talked, it's down. The economy, sponsorships and revenue, advertising revenues, getting harder to find. So, but we have 7 acres and a couple of horses, and I'm always busy. Today we're out cutting a bunch
300 grandchildren.
What's that?
300 grandchildren.
Yeah, we've got a lot of grandchildren that just moved. My daughter just had her 4th. They're all under 5 years old, and they live next door. So yeah, we're pretty busy. We got plenty to stay busy.
Brad, the question I have to ask before we wrap you up, mate, is: are we going to see you back in Australia? Brian Linigan and that wonderful group of people we all got together several years ago to bring you down. You left such an impact on people. Is there any chance that you may be able to come back again someday?
Well, boy, at this point, it's not in the plans, Wade. I guess put it that way. But I do want to make clear to Brian and everybody, you and everybody that was instrumental in getting me over there those few times, that they're memories that I'll never ever forget, and I'll cherish forever. But right now it's not in the works. But I guess the old saying, never say never. But right now I don't have any plans to come back over.
Just quickly, Brad, it's things like that I've really noticed, and I was saying to Wade last night, that the sprint car community over here in Australia, be it with trips like you coming to Australia, to the Outlaws Down Under, to everything that goes on at the Classic, I think it was absolutely incredible how many Australians were over there at Knoxville this year to watch the Knoxville Nationals. I think it's a testimony to the cultures getting together like we have over the last few years, and not only are we just people that we used to admire, we're actually friends with a lot of the teams now, and I think it's just great the way the two countries are growing together, and more and more of you are coming here every year, and there's more and more of us going there every year. I think it's just unbelievable.
Well, that's that great thing for us Americans about the Knoxville Nationals. It's a family reunion. It's a sprint car family reunion. Get to see all you people from Australia and around the world in one place like that, and that is the great thing about Knoxville, and I look forward to that every year to get to see a lot of you guys.
Well, we'll leave the gate open for the bloke with spokes, and I hope he does come back down because we miss you, mate, and I hope everyone's well with your family on behalf of all of us here at Rocket Thursday Thunder. Thank you so much for your time, mate, and we hope to get you again on the show in the next few weeks and talk about some topical issues. Trev's got some burning questions about tyres and old school and stuff like that for you, so really looking forward to chatting with you again, and please give our love to your family.
All right, well, thank you guys, and thanks for having me on the first show. I appreciate it.
Thanks a lot, Brad.